Hi everybody and welcome to Philanthropy Impact's Walk in My Shoes series for professional advisors. Originally set up in response to the pandemic, this weekly 30-minute panel discussion has fast become a resource for our members and wider network as we all navigate the environments we are working in. I just want to say a quick thank you to all of you that have given us feedback and continue to join us each week. The response has been phenomenal. If you are new to us today, please do jump on the chat if you want to know more about our training and our membership. I'll be there to answer questions. This is our last episode before taking a short break for the summer. We'll be back in September, and what a topic we have. This episode, we'll be exploring what professional advisors should know to meet the needs of their clients, who are women of wealth in philanthropy and social impact investing, and the importance of understanding the complexities of gender equity in this space. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our chair for today, Alana Petraske, partner with us worldwide. And joining her is Annabel Bosman, Head of Relationship Management at RBC Wealth Management, Simon Hopkins, co-founder and COO of Angel Academy, Rena Greifinger, Director of Maverick Collective within PSI, and Sarah Hillware, who is a social entrepreneur and Deputy Director of Women in Global Health. If you have any questions, please use the chat to post them, and do interact with us as much as possible. If we can't answer your questions in this time, we will take the conversation to LinkedIn, where you will find the recording of today's discussion. I'm now going to pass over to Alana. Thank you very much, Alana.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sophia, and thank you to all of you who are logging 5:40 far, and that's exciting. I know we have a great group who have signed up from all over the place today. This is a super short session. It is small and perfectly formed, and for that reason, I'm not going to impose a lot of chairs introduction, but I'm delighted to be joined by the folks who you've heard their brief introductions so far. I'd much prefer to let them speak for themselves. And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart as an advisor, as a woman, and as a person who is pushing for equity across all aspects of our work. So if I can, thank you everyone for being here and joining. And I'd love to just jump right in with you, Rena. Maverick Collective, I am excited to know and love, is a group collective giving experience that women are leading, and that is so exciting to me on multiple levels. I would love if you could just talk to us a little bit about what we can learn from the Maverick Collective's experience in terms of, how we can, as advisors, can help advise our clients to sort of understand and grapple with these issues better, and also how we can help to encourage and grow the philanthropy that's going into the projects that help women and girls.
Thanks so much. And thanks so much, everyone, for having me here. I hope that wherever you are in the world today, that you are feeling safe and healthy and finding at least some moments of joy in this really difficult time. Maverick Collective, just to give you a tiny bit of context in case you're not familiar, we were co-founded by global health organization PSI, which is where we're housed, based in Washington, D.C., alongside with Melinda Gates and the Crown Princess of Norway, to bring together women philanthropists from across generations to amplify impact for women and girls through a model that we call experiential philanthropy. So experiential philanthropy means collaborative action and deep connection with people, their communities, and the problems they face. And it means investing your full self beyond the checkbook in empathetic understanding and in a commitment to changing the world. So through hands-on engagement in the projects they fund, through deep, trusting partnerships with PSI, through showing up as partners to us in our advocacy initiatives, members really become informed advocates, empathetic leaders, and strategic investors in social impact. And really, we hope are on a path to true enlightenment in terms of what it means to be a really effective strategic steward of your resources over the course of your life. So in this way, we think about impact in three ways: achieving triple impact. Impact for women and girls around the world, impact on the philanthropist herself toward more effective strategic giving, and then impact on the philanthropic system and trying to move the whole system of philanthropy toward one that is based on justice. So there are 3 ways to engage with our collective. One is through our fellowship program for young women between 20 and 40 who co-finance a project with a cohort of peers and then embark on a learning journey together, which is certified by the Marshall Institute at the London School of Economics. We have a portfolio program where Maverick members can invest together across a portfolio of activities that are all working towards systems change interventions for sexual and reproductive health. And we also have individual projects where individual women kind of fund a project in a country and then go deep on that project, really learning everything she can about it and working with the country team. So all to say that advisors have been so critical to the founding of Maverick Collective and to this day in terms of helping us build this community of women and be on a shared journey with us. It was actually a group of wealth advisors at UBS that sat down with us 7 years ago and brainstormed the whole concept of Maverick Collective. And what we found is that advisors can be so critical because of your ability to help your clients find and identify their sense of purpose and help channel that purpose into effective, impactful action. So I'll stop there unless you have follow-up questions to give time for others.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's so exciting. Sarah, I would love to just pivot to you and hear a little bit more from you. Introduce yourself, really. Your background is on the materials that everyone has seen, but it is so diverse and dynamic. I would love for you to tell us a little bit of your journey as a social entrepreneur, a global health strategist, and an advocate for girls and women. You know, what are you seeing in terms of trends? And also tell us a bit about, you know, where is the sector, where is the market, and what can we do to make things better?
Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to be here and to see all of you. I see in the chat that there are people from all around the world, which really is great because this is a conversation that really needs to be heard by all, and all need to be engaged. And we need everyone at the table in order to really move the needle and really make systemic change. And that's really what my career has been focused on, is that systemic change. I actually started out my entrepreneurship journey very early on by founding a nonprofit focused on comprehensive sexuality education for girls, founded by a very small research grant. You know, fast forward to now, I'm now Deputy Director of Women in Global Health. And Women in Global Health is it's the largest global network of women and allies who are working to achieve gender equity within health. So, you know, really challenging power and privilege, really challenging the way that we do things. To do things differently is what we call it. And so right now, what we're seeing is that, you know, even though women actually control 50% of liquid assets, still only 1% of, you know, philanthropic funding is actually going to fund, you know, women's organizations. And so there's a huge gap, there's a huge disparity with regard to, you know, where's the funding going, and, you know, what are the funding priorities? And so at Women in Global Health, you know, we have sort of a 3-pronged, or actually 4-pronged approach to this systemic change. So we number one, mobilize. We have a global network of 23 chapters around the world, and we're now pretty laser focused on trying to ensure that we have, you know, especially chapters from low and middle income countries. So about 43% of our chapters are in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So we mobilize women at the country level to make change in their own communities, you know, by giving them tools. But really, we don't fix the women. We try to, you know, really just drive that systems change that allows women to be able to thrive in those environments, and to be able to, you know, really access the systems that are preventing that change from happening. So, you know, we try to have intergenerational leadership, multi-sectoral leadership. So not only Ministry of Health, but civil society organizations, NGOs that are based in those countries and the likes. And number 2 is advocate. So, you know, we really advocate at the global level, and really what we're doing is we're connecting the local reality to the global and national level decision making. Because what we're actually finding is that you actually see decision making tables that look almost nothing like, those who they're trying to serve. So, not only getting women into those international forums, but really ensuring that we have diverse women. So women from low and middle income countries, women of color, and women from underrepresented groups within high income countries, also around the decision-making table in health policy. And then number 3 is commit. So we actually are garnering commitments from global health NGOs, international agencies such as the World Health Organization, and the like. So we actually have a target of getting commitments from 50 global health organizations. And what that means is sectors, really diverse sectors. So not only, public, but private as well, where they have a large budget in global health. So we're really getting commitments from them on gender equality to ensure that not only gender equality, within their leadership, but also the way that they do business. So really trying to get at the root cause of that fundamentally. So, safe and working conditions for health workers. Women are 70% of the health workforce. Really ensuring, paid leave, within the international development and global health sector, so that there is that work-life balance, and helping to retain, so getting organizations to commit to retaining women in those roles. And then number 3 is, we actually hold the organizations accountable. So not only getting the commitments, but really reporting out is the goal, and that progress on a yearly basis. So that there is that level of accountability, within the sector. And so that's our theory. That's the way that we approach this. So really the whole of system change. So down from individual level all the way up to institutional level. And so you talk about trends. I mean, what we're really seeing, as I mentioned, is that only 1% of giving is actually going to women's organizations. It's, I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. And actually, only 18% of nonprofits actually have a female CEO, which means that there's a fundamental gender imbalance. And so, there's a lot of research, a large body of evidence to show that when you actually have more women in leadership and diverse women in leadership, then you actually have policies and programs that better reflect those that they serve. So it's really imperative, both from a philanthropic perspective and also from a practitioner perspective, to ensure that we have that gender parity. And so I really encourage those, when you're looking at your investment portfolios, look at the leadership of the organizations that you're investing in. Really look at the boards of the organizations that you're investing in to make sure that it's set up to be an effective operation. Thanks.
Wonderful. And if there's anyone on the call who isn't feeling that moment of shock about this gap that Sarah has just identified, very interesting. It's shocking. I mean, but self-evidently true. This actually is a perfect segue into hearing a little bit more from you, Simon. Technology has made you not on my screen, but I trust that you are there. Oh, wonderful!
I'm definitely here. I'm here.
Excellent, excellent. So pivoting slightly, but staying with the idea of women-led organizations. Let's talk a little bit about women-founded tech businesses and angel investing. I know everyone on the call would love to hear a little bit of your insight and also examples. And basically, is it what are the barriers? Is there enough deal flow? Is it difficult to get more women investing in this area?
That's a lot of questions. I'm not very bright. I can't answer all of those. But no. Let me give you the very short intro to what we do and why we're here. So my Angel Academy is me and my co-founder Sarah Turner, and we've got. It's an abysmal thing to have to admit, but careers in the tech industry in the UK that go back to the mid-90s, sort of steam-powered days. And we've been consultants working together for a decade and a half, and at some point in the mix, and I can't even really begin to think about how long ago this was now, but Sarah started to make some of her own investments with her own private capital. Very quickly realized that she was almost always the only woman in rooms full of male investors. And that really set up two questions. One, given the stats we've already gone through about the 50% of the wealth roughly in the UK are residing with women, why weren't there more female angels? And then, of course, the pertinent second question is, what the hell is it like for female founders to get up in front of rooms full of men and ask for funding, particularly at early stage? And, the stats and the anecdotes are pretty abysmal, and it's still, I mean, it's interesting hearing about it in the philanthropic space, but we have not dissimilar figures. Less than 11 or 12% of funding goes to female co-founded businesses. If companies are purely female founded, it's less than 1 penny in every pound of early stage capital. So we set out to address that by just trying to get more women investing. There's there's great work being done across the board to get more young women into tech, to encourage more female founders generally. I think Sarah's big insight was that, well, one way to really help this out was to get more well-off women investing in early stage female founded companies. And that, that's the rationale. We're in our 7th year. We've raised over 6 million for about 30 companies. We are waiting for our first really big exit, but it's a long game we play. It's patient capital, angel capital. But so that's our shtick really. And just to answer, I think one of the several questions you banged my way, but you asked specifically about deal flow, and we get that all the time. Are you actually seeing enough companies? And all I can tell you is that the way that we split the gig up is that Sarah recruits the angels and I run the deal flow. And I've got to tell you, I've got the easier gig. There are great companies we're seeing. I think we're being approached by 450, 500 companies a year. And, at least 50 or 60 of those are really, really very, very good companies. So our issue is just getting people to invest. We are capital constrained. We are not lacking deal flow.
And let me ask about that, because that is, the capital constraint. How do we encourage people, wealthy people almost by definition, to, get on board and get with this?
Well, I think what we've tried to do is create an environment in which women are comfortable gathering and investing together. It's a very, very collaborative environment. Prior to March, we had regular events all in a room together, which were very convivial but we have very warm. It's a very warm, friendly, open network. I should say, by the way, it's not exclusively female. Sarah always jokes that her diversity target is 25 to 30% men. But we just created an environment in which I think women are much more comfortable hearing pitches, giving pitches, asking questions, and then, sharing a pretty rigorous due diligence process. So, it's far be it from me to advise other people how to do it. I just know that, we feel that we've created an environment in which women are comfortable doing this. And beyond that, it's just spreading the news that this even exists as an asset class. I mean, in all the conversations we have with high net worth women, many are barely aware of this world or just think it's some kind of really geeky guy sort of thing, and we've just been trying to break down that perception for, half a decade now.
Wonderful. It's such important work. I want to turn to you, Annabel, next, but before I do, Rena, I just can't help myself. The mention of collaborative has just made me think back to Maverick again. Would you just speak just really quickly, because I want to turn to Annabel, but would you just speak really quickly about the sort of role of collaboration in your giving space, which is essentially a women's giving space?
Yeah, thanks so much. And I think you probably even saw my head nodding vigorously, Simon, when you started to talk about the power of community and power of collective, particularly for women. And what we know kind of trend-wise, as well as what we see certainly within our work, is that women want to be giving together. They want to be learning together. They want to be on a journey together when it comes to creating more impact for women and girls in the world. And I think that we see that in the philanthropic space, but also in the larger investment space. What we have found at Maverick Collective, women come together so that not only can they co-finance impact work, and actually where we can then see, double, triple, quadruple the impact because of the leverage opportunities just embodied within the idea of co-financing. But it also means that then women get to be on a shared learning journey where they're learning deeply about the work and becoming really informed about the work that they're funding, while also creating lifelong bonds, personal and professional bonds with one another, supporting one another as they grow, whether they're growing in their philanthropy, growing in their careers, being there, to support one another as friends. Working with high net worth and ultra high net worth women, particularly young women that we work with, next gen. It's a very unique situation to be in for many of these women, and often, particularly for the younger ones, they don't necessarily have a lot of friends or a lot of people that they spend most of their time with who truly understand the experience that their life experience, right? Inheriting major wealth, wanting to find a way to channel that into their values and their purpose. And so what we can be is first a safe space and a community to kind of be truly yourself and figure out your purpose and how to, live out your values, while also like deeply learning from real projects, real impact out there in the world. Amazing. And we see one more point, is just we see Maverick Collective members move on from Maverick and continue to collaborate in their professional lives and in their philanthropic lives. Many of them are investing together. They're doing philanthropy together, but they're also investing together. They're investing in one another's businesses and in funds that they bring to one another after their experience with Maverick. And for us, that's like, that's the golden ticket, because we're seeing just more effective strategic investment in women and girls writ large coming out of the Maverick Collective work.
Amazing. I have to turn to Annabel now, but that perfectly, there's overlap, so much overlap there between you, between Sarah, between Simon's work there, wonderful synergy. Annabel, let me turn to you now, an advisor, and I'm sure you have lots to tell us. First, though, let me make sure that you tell us a little bit about the Wealthy Her network that participants may be familiar with already. You've done a study recently, I think. Tell us a little bit about this and what it tells to us about attitudes to these issues.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alana. So Wealthy Her is a network founded on International Women's Day back in 2019. It feels like a lifetime ago now. It was 15 financial institutions who were brought together for the first time to work collaboratively together to celebrate, inspire, and help empower and educate women to protect and grow their own financial futures. And it was really the first time, I think, that banks had looked at what they were doing internally in terms of trying to push the agenda to change the conversation around women. It was the first time that a group of organizations had recognized that actually doing it on our own wasn't enough. And we needed to come together as a group of organizations to try and really change that messaging. And, it was great to be part of those early stage conversations when you had the likes of JP Morgan, Barclays, I was there, Royal Bank of Canada. There were lots of what should have been competing priorities in the room, but actually it was a group of women. We came together to really think about how we could help our female clients and ultimately help the financial services industry, starting in the UK, but it's broadened out more recently. Think about how we deal with those clients. So we know that studies have consistently tell us that women feel that they're quite often mansplained, they're patronized, etc. And we really wanted to think about how we change that. We started with looking at research. So all of the partner organizations went out to their own female client bases to ask to get the data. And what we found was that in keeping with some of the comments you've heard already, women wanted more openness, they wanted more education, they wanted to see more women in finance talking to them, and they wanted more access to networks. I think what the data then goes on to show is that women, perhaps more than men, view being able to provide for their families, being able to help support the societies in which they live, in which they work, are more important when it comes to wealth than viewing wealth as a symbol of success in its own right. So typically what we find is that women are more focused on social impact, on their families. They view wealth as a means to an end, whereas typically, and I'm going to generalize here, men quite often view wealth as a means in itself. So really interesting. We're very focused at the moment, particularly given the confines of lockdown and where we're finding ourselves, on helping support women with those educational conversations, just as we're doing here, a series of webinars that help women to take control of their own finances.
Amazing. And how can I ask you, this is maybe chair's prerogative here, Annabel, you are an advisor. You know, oftentimes as advisors, we have this studied neutrality about things when we're talking with our clients. We don't want to offend anyone. We want to help them in whatever way they want to be helped, particularly on the philanthropic side. You know, we're not going to tell anyone to give to animals over, you know, environment. We're going to be responsive to what people lead us towards in terms of their own priorities. I get a sense that at this current moment, issues of racial equity, issues of gender equity, this is the time perhaps for advisors to break a little bit out of that studied neutrality and to help clients have conversations, not necessarily to take them off the path they want to go on, but to have perhaps difficult conversations. Does that resonate with you at all, or are you seeing that as relevant to your practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually within RBC, one of the tenets of the way that we work with our clients is really to think about challenging them and getting relationship managers comfortable with asking those more challenging questions. I think it's not enough. I mean, I've been in the industry now for nearly 25 years. Certainly when I started out, you know, advisors were seen as really being salespersons, you know, leading with a series of investment products. It's no longer enough. Actually, we need to be in positions where we can challenge the clients to think differently. Yes, we're going to work with them, you know, based on a series of their life pictures, their holistic view for how they want to take their own finances. But I think it is down to the advisors actually to challenge and have those conversations. And equally, you know, it's a two-way street, right? You know, we're getting those challenges back from our clients. I think clients think very differently now. You know, they do want to challenge their advisors. They do want to make sure that you're doing the right thing within your organization as well. And I think that two-way conversation is incredibly important.
Wonderful. And what about, is there a way for clients who don't know about the Renas or the Sarahs or the Simons of this world, for us as advisors to be connectors here? We've heard a little bit about collaboration. We've heard a little bit about network. And we know from this conversation that there is a need to move things on. Sarah, I love the way you expressed that earlier today. So is there a role for advisors to play here as connector or convener?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you rewind the clock a few years, a lot of relationship managers or bankers were afraid to deepen the conversation around things like philanthropy, around impact investing, because they were fearful that it would start to impact and cannibalize the assets which were there for, you know, investments in straight capital market products. But, you know, I think the more that we can do that, the more we deepen the relationship with our clients. We know that the next generation of clients and women in particular think quite differently about investment. So if we're not having the conversation, if we're not connecting the dots and introducing them to the likes of Simon, to the likes of Rena, then somebody else is. And I know that I've worked quite a lot with Simon's partner, Sarah, to think about how we can start to bring those networks together, because, you know, the more that we can do to support each other, the more it becomes almost self-propagating and very powerful.
It certainly is it's a project that's big enough to require a group effort, I think. We've got 2 minutes left, and I'm seeing, I don't see any questions in the chat, but I am seeing, and I flagged to folks' attention some research that Ian Frith has shared with us all, so thank you for that. I just want to bring things to a close. I think here it's a couple of minutes. I would like to invite any of you to give us any last thoughts that you in the conversation perhaps wanted to get out there about, and our basic framework here is we're thinking about advisors and how we can be helpful to move these things on, work with clients in this space. Simon, Annabel, we were just with you, but Simon, Sarah, Rena, anything you want to add in on this area?
I just want to add that, you know, if you really think about this space similarly to the way that we think about non-philanthropic investments, right? Investing in women and girls is the most I would say from an impact standpoint, profitable investment that you can make. I mean, you know, a woman, you know, she's going to invest right back into her community. And, you know, I think Annabel had alluded to this earlier. But that also means not only, you know, better outcomes for her, but better outcomes for her entire family, better outcomes for her entire community, healthier communities, more economically stable communities, right? So, you know, there are just all these ripple effects. And, you know, I would really encourage those who are here with us today to think about philanthropy from that standpoint. So what is the most impactful investment that we can make? And that is certainly women and girls. So hopefully this tide changes soon, and we have we have more than 1% of funding going to women's organizations.
Wonderful. We do have an excellent question from one of our participants here. Georgia Barnett has asked us all, what would your advice be to someone who is looking to set up a women-focused network? So starting from a blank page and maybe drawing from lessons you've learned, any advice? Rena, you've got yourself a women-focused network.
Yeah.
Tell us about any advice you have for Georgia and the group.
Sure. I mean, first I would say, Georgia, give me a call. I mean, it would be great to talk to other women-focused networks, right? And get insights from all of us about what it takes and what's important. And I think ultimately finding, you know, setting up a network around a shared vision, right? And a shared mission, a shared purpose. You have to have something that binds that network of women together that is bigger than just any individual in that network, right? And so for us, it is about driving catalytic impact for women and girls around the world. That's the first thing that, you know, every single Maverick member believes in. She will then, you know, each individual has her own experience, her own perspective, her own way she wants to do it, but that is the thing that binds us. So I think that's really important, but please reach out because I'd be more than happy to share insights. And I'll just, with my final word, just want to say again, like, advisors, you know, I think you all come to this work because of your own sense of purpose and commitment, whether you're a philanthropic advisor full-time or you're wealth advising, but you have, you know, philanthropy in your portfolio. So it is so critically important that you are on this journey with us. Like I talk about the philanthropists, but they're not the only important people here, right? When it comes to driving funding and resources toward the biggest problems of our time, and you play such a critical role and know how much you're valued and how much networks like us want to bring you in on that journey with us.
Sure, Alana, I'm going to have to cut in because we're 2 minutes over time. So, okay, sorry about that. We will, no, it's great. We will have a full session in the autumn covering this and going into way more depth. So this is just a taster, just the beginning of a series of discussions around equity and other issues of being faced. And thank you, Annabel, Rena, Simon, and Sarah, and Alana for doing such a great job chairing. I think that it's really important that we had so many people show up here today. That's really a good sign. There's a quote that we have from someone who's a millennial and a woman of wealth. And she says that as a next-gen woman of wealth seeking to engage in values-aligned impact investing and philanthropy, the role of my advisors is absolutely essential. My personal wealth is there as a force for good to bring change, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just not women of wealth, but it's also millennials who are bringing significant change to the whole advisory marketplace. So thank you very much for all that. We'll see you in September. And over to you, Zofia.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all for, thank you, Alana, for doing such a good job of that. That was brilliant. Thank you all for joining, and for everybody that has joined in over the last 19 episodes. We will be sharing recordings from all our virtual events over August, over LinkedIn and Twitter, so please follow us on social media to stay updated for any ones that you might have missed. We will be back with our Walk in My Shoes on the 1st of September. Please get in touch directly with me if you want to know the topics and the benefits of membership in our training program. Wishing you all a really peaceful and sunny August, and I will speak to you all very soon. Thanks.
Sorry, just to cut in, just before you cut it off, the person who Rena, you wanted to speak to, if they can't reach you directly, send an email to us and we'll do an introduction. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.